So for the last few months, I have been doing quite a few experiments and in-depth reviews on affordable blow dryers. I actually just finished filming one here today, just like 2 seconds ago. You can find that on the channel if you missed it. We covered a totally different blow dryer than what we're talking about today. But I think in producing these videos here on affordable blow dryers, there's been a lot of options presented to you guys. I know there's been quite a few options that have popped out to me. So it's kind of, expanded my knowledge a little bit on these types of blow dryers. And I think there's a lot of options to present to you guys out there who want a great blow dryer without something with the price tag of, say, the Dyson. You don't want to be at that level. That's actually the question that I get most often when hearing from you guys on the subject of blow dryers. The question's always about the Dyson almost. Can I get something at the level of the Dyson without that price tag? And I think I've made that pretty evident in this last run of videos, and I plan to make it evident again today. We're going to run another set of experiments to see how another blow dryer stacks up against the Dyson. This is the xCool from Cool Gadget, and according to them, this is a high-speed hair dryer that reaches the top standards in 5 key elements of the industry: airflow speed, air volume, negative ion concentration, heat control, and noise level. And what I think I'm going to do with this unit here in this video is I'm going to break down each one of those categories and discuss what they claim to have brought to the table with each category, starting first with airflow speed. And airflow speed all starts with that motor, and the xCool starts things off with a 110,000 RPM motor, which is actually the same RPMs as the Dyson. It uses this to achieve a higher airflow velocity, which then results in a larger volume of air expelled per unit of time, leading then to faster drying of the moisture in your hair. And speaking of that, we can actually see this in action when I do a dry hair time test, where I use a stopwatch to time the amount of time it took to dry my hair from wet to dry. And in this case, the xCool completed this test in 2 minutes and 21 seconds, which is really good, actually, in my opinion, because it is super close to the Dyson, which when I did this same exact test came in at 2 minutes and 5 seconds. So it's very close, which is interesting to see for sure. Let's go ahead and move on over to air volume now, though. And you can actually see the air volume test in action with this bag test that I set up, where I put each of them in this bag to gauge not only the speed of which it fills up the bag, but the intensity as well. And when you put them side by side in this test, you can actually see, as far as speed goes, they both have a very similar speed. The Dyson, I think, though, has a tiny bit more power that we can see from the bag's reaction to the unit. And I think that's also backed up a little bit more when we check the numbers on our meter here, as far as how much air is coming out at what speed. And when we do that, the xCool comes in at around 31.9 knots, which is a good number. I mean, there's a lot of power in that. That's not a bad number. The Dyson, though, comes in at roughly 38 knots. So yes, the Dyson does have a little bit more power, but I can tell you, in having both blowing air on your head, you're not really going to notice the difference. It's just, they both have a lot of power. I mean, you're not really going to notice the difference there. Now, though, let's talk negative ion concentration. The xCool reports a whopping 200 million negative ions, which is pretty nuts, really, when you compare it to the Dyson that is estimated at around 75 million. Moving over, though, to the heat control category now, the way the xCool approaches this is they have a couple of different modes of operation. They have constant mode, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's constant hot, medium, cold air. It's what we're all probably used to with a blow dryer. Then they have hot and cold alternating mode, which I think is actually pretty cool. It alternates hot and cold air every 5 seconds. And then on top of that, they have an actual thermal control system that measures the air temp 100 times a second. But that also brings us to our next category, the noise level. And to sum that up, I can refer you to another mode that this dryer has that's very much self-explanatory: baby mode. It's a quieter and gentler airflow, so you can get awesome hair without waking the baby. I happen to think that's pretty cool. When used in the regular modes, though, I personally think the sound is about the same as the Dyson. I think even the brand's data itself shows it to be within a couple of decibels of the Dyson, but I do think it's cool that they offer that quieter baby mode. I think, though, that pretty much gives us a a good look at this unit and a good way to compare it to the Dyson. I think there's a lot of data we went over. And when you bring everything together, I think this might be one of the top units that I've had the chance to examine. I mean, all of the data that I'm seeing shows this to be either on par with the Dyson or slightly better in some cases. You know, it's very close with the airflow. You know, it's close to the size, it's close to the weight, and the xCool has those different modes, especially the alternating hot and cold, where the Dyson doesn't have something like that. It just has the airspeed, and then you can change the temperature, and that's pretty much about it. The xCool also, I believe, has a better price. I say believe because it's a little bit different here. I don't actually know the full price, and it's not often that I'm in the position to say that. I can't actually remember the last time I have had to say that, but I don't actually know the full price, because this will actually be launching on Kickstarter here very soon. On their site, though, they do list this as being a figure in the 200s, which, if true, would make it cheaper than the Dyson. So that's pretty good, I think. And I'll of course put the link to the page that discusses the options and, you know, everything they have now and everything you know prior to the Kickstarter and all that. I really hope that they succeed in their campaign too, and these become widely available, because I think it's actually a pretty great unit. It's got a great design. It's got solid execution, in my opinion. And I'm really glad, honestly, to see something like this come out. Not because I'm hating on the Dyson. You know, I've been using my Dyson forever, so I'm not hating on it or telling anybody not to buy it. I just really enjoy the fact that things seem to be stepping up with at least this type of product, the blow dryers, that people really seem to be stepping up their game and offering people alternatives for people that don't want to spend the money or can't. You know, they deserve to have a good unit too. So I really enjoy seeing this. But that is all that I have for this blow dryer test today. If you enjoyed what you saw here with this test, make sure you help me out by hitting that like button, by leaving a comment. That's a huge help to me. And even more so, hitting that subscribe button. It's the best way to support the channel. It's the best way to help me out here. So thank you very much in advance for doing that. Thank you also for checking out this video with me. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Take it easy. I'll see you next time.